So welcome to Density Partnership 101. We're going to take a high level look at density today, as well as go in and take a look at Safe Display, our platform, as well as our partner portal. So here on the partnership team is David Costa and myself. So anyone who is currently a Density partner, we will continue to support you going forward. And if you are brand new to Density and you are working on your partnership application, we will be reaching out shortly to meet with you. So Density as an organization, we have our hardware here on the left-hand side, as well as our cloud-based software. So the two go hand in hand. And things to note for Density, there's really three key takeaways. We're accurate, we're anonymous, and we're real-time. So keep in mind with Density, we are not a camera-based solution. So that's very important when you're talking to customers around the world if they're concerned and looking at HIPAA compliance or GDPR compliances. We are not that camera-based solution. So why other technologies fail and what Density has put in place today for in terms of our technology. So we, look at complex human behavior. We can scale this very easily. So when you're looking at other technologies, they typically do fail because they are camera-based and other technology out there. Density will train our platform. We train our sensors to understand the spaces in which they're installed. So examples that you see on screen here is if you have people moving large objects, trash cans, moving in different directions, work in groups, lining up in groups, even non-human. So if we're dealing with cats, dogs, etc., we will train our sensors to understand those environments and remove those additional elements. So here on screen, on your left-hand side, you can see the raw data, what that looks like. Inside of our field of view, we can see the door, the hinge, the casing, the people walking through. The right-hand side is after we've gone through that training and that cleanup, so to speak, we remove those additional elements, making it much, much easier to understand that human movement and being able to tag those individuals and count them as a +1 when they enter the space or -1 when they exit. This shot here I like to call is Density in the Wild. It is a conference room planning that we've done with a client. We have our field of view, so the blue representing the passage or when the individuals cross through and into the conference rooms. So we can do, multiple sensors around a room. It could be one sensor. We can help you configure your individual spaces and your clients. We take a look at floor plans, etc. The information going back to where Density is not a camera. So what does Density actually capture inside of our platform? It's really three key points. There's going to be a timestamp, an event, was it an entrance, was it an exit, and then which doorway. This information pulls together and is transmitted to our cloud platform that make up our dashboard, our reporting, and our alerts. In addition to the information that we have of that +1, -1 for entrances and exits, we can also pull information into Density. So when we're looking at room booking technology or calendar applications, those APIs can connect to Density and we can pull that in so it lives inside of our dashboard and our reporting. You can also use our REST API and you can go into data analytics as an example. Do you need to create a data lake? You're using Google BigQuery. Are you wanting to activate lights or AC or ventilation, etc., based on occupancies of a building, floor, or room? All of that can be controlled using information from Density. So again, very easy to use our REST API, and we can integrate into those solutions. Here's a quick snapshot of some of our global clients around the world. We can also take a look at like higher education on the right-hand side. So we typically work with clients that may have a single location. They may have hundreds of locations around the world. So we could take a look at Delta Airlines. We could take a look at Marriott Hotels. They have various use cases, different applications. They want to understand how many people are in a hotel, how many people are in an individual ballroom, a conference room, a work area, etc. So we have, multiple verticals. basically any space where someone wants to understand how it's being utilized, that's where Density will support them. So this rolls into, COVID-19 and the data-driven recovery. So things that we've seen before COVID and as we work through COVID with our clients today, we were supporting clients for workplace experiences, for that workplace productivity and the safety and security of their buildings. We certainly still do that today. We do have a renewed focus when it comes to health and safety. So helping our organizations with their health policies. How often do they require cleaning, physical distancing, etc. So that's where we took a step back and working with our existing clients for elements of a safe reopening or a safe stay at work scenarios. So we're working with HR through facilities all the way down to IT teams. And what we're looking at and how we're supporting them is with their operations and cleaning, with their physical distancing and their occupancy counts, communication, what does that look like, monitoring and responding with the data in real time, and then, of course, customers and clients are asking us for testing and contact tracing. That's something that we do not do. I'll make that very clear now. So we cover the 4 additional areas, and we leave that testing and contact tracing up to our clients. So this is where we've created a functionality of our system called Safe by Density. We're using our own API where we can display in real time what's happening inside of a building, a floor, individual rooms. What does that look like? We can provide real-time alerts, the analytics to go along with it. So there's lots of information that we can share visually on screen, or if clients want to, of course, share the URL internally, that is an option as well. So some quick use cases that we've encountered in the last 4 to 5 months is really taking a look at what does it look like for a bar, a restaurant, a cafe. Can they display information so individuals may need to line up outside before they can come in to pick up their coffee, etc. We have laboratories, higher education, we have warehouse clients. So applications across the board, they're very different, but everyone needs to understand and they want to understand what is happening inside of their spaces. And then the number one use case that we have today is restrooms. We say internally, you're never going to install a glass door to your restroom. You don't know what's happening behind those closed doors. Where Density is not camera based and we're a privacy first approach, you can install Density above restrooms. Some of our warehouse clients will have us installed inside of locker rooms. So we don't see any of that personal identifiable information, making it very easy for Density to show virtually or visually on screen how many people are in here. We can then go into usage-based cleaning. So we can take a look at the hotspots. What's being used the most often? Is it a kitchen area, a cafeteria? Is it a coffee station? Do you have multiple conference rooms that require cleaning? On the other side of it, we can look at it and say, great, because we're threshold-based, we can tell you if the conference room hasn't been used all day, meaning it's still sanitized for the next day. So we have cost savings there as well. When we get into the safe alerts, we can take a look and say, great, does our space need to be redefined because of COVID? If we historically have been allowed to have 100 people in here, do we have to reduce the capacity to 50 individuals? What does that look like? So you can set it for building, for floor and room level as well. So you have that option inside of our platform where you can configure it to receive text alerts, to emails, to push notifications through the app. You can take a look at it on your mobile phone, your desktop, a tablet, etc. We also then offer safe analytics. So what does that look like? Do you need to drill in based on the square feet per person? Do you need to take a look at hotspots in terms of the usage? Are you over capacity? Does your facilities teams need to understand how those spaces are being used? Do they need to do additional cleaning from, traditional maybe after hours? Do they need to move that up before noon? So we can get into analytics that way, as well as retain and provide the historical information. So if you need to look at this week over week, month over month, etc., that is certainly an option. Now, one thing we had announced last week, kind of shifting gears here, is open area. So I know a lot of partners have been asking in the last 72 hours, what does that mean? So very, very high level here is open area. So it is a sensor that is installed in the ceiling that's going to help you with the analytics and understanding how your open area spaces are being used. So again, it's not a camera-based solution. It continues with density historically, so it is real time, it's accurate, and it's anonymous. And what we're doing is helping organizations understand that open seating, their lobbies, their conference rooms. So any space where traditionally you do not have a threshold area or a boundary or a choke point, you will now have open areas. So it gives a complete solution to our clients. And something to note is we will be hosting next Tuesday an open area webinar hosted by our CEO, Andrew. So he is going to take us through open area in more detail as well as a live demo. In addition to that, in the coming days and weeks, we'll be rolling out to our partner community more information on open area with our own webinar and FAQ, so that information is coming. So from here, I'm going to pause my screen share, and I'm going to switch over into our platform so we can take a high-level look at the workings and the reports and the analytics there, as well as into our partner portal, and then we'll take a look at Q&A from everyone. So as I switch screens here, I'm pre-logged in. So taking a look at the Density platform itself, we have 5 key areas. We have our spaces, we have analytics, dashboards, live, and safe display. I'm going to jump ahead into safe display to start, where it is our newest functionality of the platform. So within Safe Display, you have the option of identifying and displaying either through a web URL or the web URL on a tablet, a TV screen, etc., as to what is happening with your individual spaces. So if we take a look at the 4th floor as an example, this has been pre-configured that I can just quickly launch a link, take a look at what's happening. The 4th floor, there's no wait, there's 135 people here. Right-hand side of the screen, we can do updates. So if we want to put in a custom logo here, do we want a custom message to our guests, to our employees, etc., as well as contact information down here at the very bottom, we have that as an option here. We also have other configurations. So if I go back quickly to the 1st floor, I can take a look at that information and say, great, what does that look like? Oh, 1st floor is actually fully occupied right now. We have an estimated 10-minute wait. We can then take a look at the additional floors of our building to say the 2nd floor is fully occupied, our 3rd floor is as well. The 4th floor, when we looked at it there earlier, we could see that there's now 139 people here. So technically the only floor that folks can go and visit and move around at this point in time would be the 4th floor. So depending on the technology as well that you're using to display density, we have that option of going back here to the red screen as well as the green screen. If you're using an e-ink type tablet that's pure black and white, we do have configurable options inside of Safe Display where you can present your information to your clients in a black and white version. So that is certainly a great option for anyone looking to set up kiosks and other elements or items when it comes to the black and white screens. So I'm going to jump back to the main part of the platform here to our spaces. The spaces is what makes up every nuance or individual location inside of your portfolio, from taking a look at an entire building to an individual floors to those rooms inside of those floors. So in our first example, here's the Ames headquarters. We have our 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd and 4th. We have, all of our spaces that make up those individual floors here. So I'm just going to stay on the 1st floor and take a look at the capacity. What do we have here? Legal capacity is by your fire marshal standards or building codes. Your target capacity, you're going to design that to say, great, are we operating at 100%? You can show your 600. Is it 50%, etc.? You can change that at will. So depending on different regulations that's happening, wherever you may be in the world, whether it's an individual state and your governor saying, okay, you can open at a 50% capacity, some are at 45, some are at 75, whatever may be happening for your individual area, you can change that. You can take a look at your doors, your sensors, your square footage. If you want to insert your annual rent, we can run analytics on that as well, based on how much is it costing you per square feet, per person. Do you have lots of extra space that is essentially wasted space that you're not utilizing? How much is that costing you each year? So we can take a look at cost savings inside of the platform when this information is populated. Continuing along your screen here is your date range. So you can select any type of date range that you want inside the platform. If you want to look at a range here on the left-hand side, do you want to go in and pre-select, maybe 2 days? You certainly can do that. You have your time frame. Is it the whole day? Is it your working hours? Do you have a retail store and maybe you have 3 shifts? Maybe you are a corporate client and you have 2 shifts going because of COVID, so you can help maintain and manage, sanitization and cleaning schedules. So any type of shift work or scheduling that you have, you can input that into the system as well. Once you have your time frame set up and you've populated your information from your target capacity all the way through your annual rent, you have the option on the far right corner here is the instant alert function. So do you want to have alerts set up that are text messages or push notifications to the mobile app or an email? You can design that information here by inputting your mobile number. So my test site is set up for text alerts. I want to be notified on the first floor. We identified that right now we can have 180 people here. I've set my alert up to notify me when we hit to 150. I get a notification, and I'm going to continue to receive notifications in increments of 5 people, because the last thing that I want to do is have a surprise to say, oh, we're over 180, and now we're dealing with situations where people may not be safe, that there's not enough space for social distancing, et cetera, inside of our office. So with regulations, we have that set up. You can certainly change that depending on your needs. You can free text in here, put in if you want increments of 10 people. Do you want notifications, a one-time notification, every 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours, all the way up to every 24 hours. So depending on your needs, you've got multiple options in here. Continuing in the middle of your screen, here's going to be 5 key reports that customers have asked for. You're going to take a look at your daily entrances, your entrances by hour, your daily peak occupancy, your peak occupancy by hour, and then finally the raw data. This is just a quick snapshot of what's going on in your individual spaces, and we're drilled in right now taking a look at the first floor so I can see exactly what's happening each day of the week here. On the right-hand side of your screen is also going to be your live events per location. So again, it's the first floor. I'm taking a look here right now and I can see my live events is tracking that we have 58 individuals. We can see that it's 32% full, and you've got the stream going here on screen to say the blue dots are entrances, the gray dots are people who are exiting. You've got your daily occupancy below that. So within each individual minute, we can use the scroll bar and go through and say, great, I want to take a look at, whether it's, 11:55 a.m. I know that there was 106 people here on the floor. It'll also tell me at the peak occupancy so far for today, we had 155 people of the allotted 180 that makes up our target capacity. You also have your doorway information, your operating hours, and then your room booking. So going back to our presentation, if you are using Google Calendars or Robin, Condeco, other tools, and you want to pull that information inside of Density, that's where the integration will live for you down here. Continuing along with analytics, so jumping over here, you can set up additional reporting. So how do you want to drill in to the data, or what information are you looking at? I'm going to take a look at a cafe report that we created for COVID, so we can take a look at all of the cafes that make up our portfolio. We can then see, what's the capacity at each one. what is our peak utilization what does that look like in here, and then the average utilization. So depending again on what your needs are in your individual spaces, you have the option to look at your occupancy, utilization, available capacity, entrances and exits. You also have the function. So every single space inside of your portfolio will be tagged. We'll identify it. Is it a conference room, a meeting room, an office, a cafe, a gym, etc.? That way, if you wanted to take a look at all of the offices that make up your portfolio, even if they're in different spaces or different buildings, you have that option that you can quickly drill in and say, great, this is what I'm looking at in terms of my office. What is my available capacity? What does my peak utilization look like and my average? So you can drill into that information here. In terms of dashboards, you have the ability to create unlimited dashboards, which comes in handy if you are looking at like building performance for one team. Do you have a cafe or a food team? Are you a retail store manager and you have, 6 retail stores and you are rolling this information up to a district manager? What does that look like? So every store can then have their own dashboard set up as part of the portfolio. Do you want to take a look at, again, we see a lot of questions coming in based on COVID. What does that look like? So we have a COVID response dashboard set up. So clients can quickly take a look at this and you can replicate this in your portfolio to say, what does it look like, square feet per person? What does that look like as a headquarters or individual floor? Your utilization by floor. We can take a look and say, great, what does your hourly peak occupancy look like? The big question that we're seeing today from clients is, can you tell me, have I gone over capacity? Have my employees not been safe because too many people are on an individual floor or in a room? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. We have surpassed capacity reports. If you've identified that you should only have 150 people on a particular floor and you have gone over, we will note that. We can show you that overcapacity by how many people, what did that number look like, and approximately then of what time of day was that. So if we were to drill in and take a look at that detail for the hourly peak occupancy, we could drill in and say this is estimated happened between 11 and 11:30 as we dig into other reports. So I'm just eyeballing it from here. So this is set up for the entire AIMS headquarters, where we can go in and we can take a look at the capacities of for COVID. So another functionality inside of our platform here is the email digest. Once you have created your dashboards, you can use it to send as one-off messaging, or you can go into the digest version here. And if this is a report that needs to go to an executive team every single day, you can come in, you can check this off and say, great, we need it, 5 days a week. We've got a distribution list set up or a couple of individuals that's already into the platform. We can check their names off, save that email digest. You can set up your time frame. So if you want this email to go out every morning at 7 a.m., select your time zones, etc. You've got all that information in here. You click save, and then every single day of the week, 7 a.m., executive members are going to receive this email. And then the last part of our platform is the live view. So this is kind of your overall eagle eye, so to speak, view of what's going on inside of your portfolio, where you can drill in and take a look at your Market Street location versus Pacific Avenue. How many people are in the individual buildings? What do the individual floors or the rooms look like? So you can see this information streaming in real time here. So the numbers that you're seeing, if we have an entrance on one side of the building and an exit on another, or if we have two in and outdoors and you have two people who have just left side by side, they count as two. If you have one person who leaves at the north door and one person leaves at the south door and they pass through their sensors at the same time, it's also going to be noted two people just left. So this is real-time information happening. It takes 7/100ths of a second for an individual to pass through or underneath one of our sensors for for it to show up live here inside of the dashboard from the live view to all of our other analytics. So that is everything that I wanted to cover inside of our platform. I know we're getting close to time, so I'm going to jump over to the partner portal here quickly. Taking a look inside of the partner portal. So once you've been a density approved partner, you have access to this site. You have the options to come in here. You can see what information has been newly released, get more information on products and services. Running along the top of your screen here is pricing, so you can take a look at the standard discount. If density sends a deal over to you, your deal registration, so when we align strategically with your sales organizations and we want to start partnering and coming up with strategic accounts, and how do we want to prospect those together, and those are opportunities that your sales teams are registering, that's going to give you additional points off. So that changes your discount level. So you have a 30% discount and a 20% discount when it comes to the software. So if you haven't heard from me in the last couple of weeks on strategic alignments, please expect an email from David and I in the coming weeks. We do want to align to your team so we can get your deal registrations booked and saved in our system and to apply the additional discounts. The other options that we have inside of the partner platform will be installation guides. We get a lot of questions around the quick start, how to do a density install, what does that look like, setting up, so the unit setup guide, doing a pre-assessment. So we will have additional training in the coming weeks on how to scope, what things to look for. Are there objects on the walls? Is there emergency exit signs that are lit up? Do we have motion sensors from security systems installed near doors? So what does that mean? So we're going to take our partners through that additional training. Right now we have training guides and power requirements and network. All that information resides here under installation. We're also rebranding and updating for our partners is marketing. So the still shots of Safe Display, what does that look like? We also then have brochures, presentations that you can certainly download, share with your customers. We have density partner email templates. So we are adding to the portfolio here of what does our sales organization use today. We want to replicate and share that information with you. Density logos are here, the product shots, environmental stills, and our application. So all that information resides in here. And then of course, the last portion is your deal registration. So when you have an opportunity with one of your current customers or a prospect, you want to bring density in, you want to secure your discounted pricing, please come in here, fill out their contact information. So for the customer, that way it does a deal protection for you so no other partner can register the opportunity. If this organization came to us as an inbound, we can cross-reference it in our system as well. We can then direct them back to you as the registered partner. So we're going to reach out to you to see how can we support you with this opportunity. We are never reaching out to your end client. We always come to you as the partner first. So that is a quick high-level overview of the partner portal. I'm going to stop screen share here and we'll jump over for some quick Q&A if everyone still has a few minutes. If not, we'll certainly continue with the recording. We can follow up with questions after the fact, and we'll get all the information over to everyone on the call today. All right, Megan, I think you are online as well with me, and let's take a look at some Q&A.
Yes, we have one here from Peter Smith. Are you handling deals in Europe?
We are. So we are certified in a number of countries in Europe. I can certainly, Peter, send you the list of supported countries and we can take a look at opportunities. And if you do have an opportunity in a country that we are currently not selling to, then we can take a look at that as well. So yes, the UK is covered and Portugal is covered as well. So next question I see coming in, do partners pay the subscription fees for the software or is paid by the end customer? In terms of the subscription fees, it's a one-to-one relationship, so hardware to software. Your end customer, if you're reselling Density, then they would pay for that as a package to you, and then in turn, you purchase that from Density. And I hope I've answered your question. If not, certainly send me a follow-up.
There's another one here from John Lucas. We recently Zoomed with Shelly. How's your Philadelphia relationship business shaping up?
Good. So we are expanding and supporting each individual state. So that is where we're looking to strategically align with our partners and their sales organization, so we can align to our inside, basically to our account executives, so they can co-sell with you.
Great. One more here from an anonymous question. Can the information be passed to a building automation system without an API?
No, it cannot. We do require the use of the Density API, because that's the signal based on the occupancy is what triggers to send that information over to the other systems.
Another one here from Peter Smith. Do you have a profile of customer integrations as it relates to software? Are partners providing software integration and clients Density?
So we do have certain integrations, and maybe Peter, what we would need to do is take it offline and scope this with you in a bit more detail. So we do have partners who are providing like analytics and other solutions to their end client, and even creating applications where they're pulling the Density information through our API into those existing systems. Hopefully I've answered it, but if not, send me an email personally, and we can sync up and we can go through different options and take a look at client examples and what you're thinking of.
Another anonymous question here. Am I free on pricing for hardware and software towards my end clients?
You're
Maybe
free on pricing?
Free to communicate pricing, perhaps? We can ask for clarification.
So yeah, so if whoever has asked that question, you can certainly, yes, communicate to your prospect or to your end client the Density pricing. We do suggest that you use the MSRP pricing, which is $895 for the sensors, $795 for the software for 1 year. We do offer 3 and 5 year terms. 3-year term has a 21% discount built in, and the 5-year has a 34% discount built in.
That's it for questions, James.
Okay, perfect. If anyone does have additional questions, certainly feel free to follow up with me directly. You can also send an email to partners@density.io. Myself or David will pick up your question from the inbox there, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, well, thank you everyone for your time today. We appreciate it, and a copy of this recording will be sent out in the next 48 hours. Like I said, if you do have questions, feel free to reach out directly. Thank you for your time and have a great day.